All right, guys, it's no secret. I'm a huge fan of the brand Casio, whether it's the G-Shock or even some of their other Casio lineups. For sure, I'm a huge fan of the Casio Oceanus lineup. This model here definitely has my attention to the point where I actually not want to own, I will own. I must own this model. What is this model? It's a JDM, like all of them are pretty much. It's the OCW-T3000, T3000, excuse me, tongue twister, dash 2AJF if you need that or not. It's using a module 5583, and there's a massive list of what it does, right? So let's get into this thing because this checks so many boxes for me that it's absurd. But even more importantly, because watches, it's easy for watches to check those boxes, but I actually really like this watch. Sometimes you can like watches, they don't check any boxes, but when the worlds collide, when the paths meet, where it meets all of your requirements and you actually really love the way it looks and feels on wrist, then it is a must-have. The only thing that's stopping me from buying this watch right now is I'm flat broke. I would love to buy this watch. I cannot swing it, and it's still affordable. I think these are around $700 new or something, and I can get a deal on this one because it's my buddy Marc in my private Discord that actually sent this in, so it's used even though it's perfect shape. I wore it for a few days and I was like, I have to have this watch. I'm going to have this watch. But when you buy a bunch of watches all at once and they were slotted to be bought, this one just doesn't make the cut right now. So that's the only reason I'm not buying it right now, but I will be buying it in the future. All right, let's get into the details on this thing. So I measure basically 41 millimeter at the bezel, okay? I tried to get some other measurements, but you got all these doodads sticking out everywhere. So it's like 41, somewhere between 41 and 42, depending on where you grab it. So, I mean, we could call it like a 41 and a half. I feel like it wears closer to like a 41 and a half for sure. Like it wears nice, because you guys know I like a little bit larger watch, and this one didn't feel small on wrist at all like some of the non-busy Oceanus lineup do. This one is busy and it has a good size for me. The lug to lug is a 48. Check out that side profile. And I'm going to do a close-up on the finishing on this, because now keep in mind, I didn't mention this. This is titanium. How the heck do they finish titanium like this? This thing looks stunning. Okay. So 48 lug to lug, it's only 11.2 millimeter thick, sapphire crystal with AR coating, and it's kind of tricky too. Like when you see the light catch it, you can see like the blue reveal like towards the edge. That's really cool. Lug width here, I'm having a hard time figuring it out exactly, and I don't feel like taking the bracelet off. I almost get the feeling it's like a 21 millimeter. I'll have to dig that up and verify that. I'll try to put some links down in the description where you maybe can pick this up. No affiliation to whatever links I put down below, because they're going to be all over the place, and it might even be eBay that you pick it up. Who knows? But the bracelet does taper down to 18 millimeter, and it's nicely sized. I can't remember if there was pin and collar or if this. I think it's pin and collar, but the bracelet flows nice, and it's lightweight, and it's finished beautiful. There's some other tricks up its sleeve too, and I'm going to cover that in a little bit with the clasp, because at first it threw me for a loop. The crown is about 6 millimeters, so push-pull crown. It's going to be 100 meter water resistance on this guy. Size for my 7 1/4 inch wrist weighs in at 81 grams. It is super, super light, and it looks like it's not. It's so cool to have on wrist. So the features that it has, I'm going to flip it over, and they're pretty much listed on the back of the case too, pretty easy to read. So you have multi-band 6, and you have Bluetooth, which I did not connect it, but there's a separate app for Casio Oceanus for the Bluetooth function. I tried it out on an older one I had. It has tough solar and the titanium sapphire 100 meter. All that information's in the back. Made in Japan, and then the model number. Here's a look at the front. This is also a chronograph, and we will select that, and I'll show you that in a minute. But, I mean, a beautiful blue dial. The indices are attached, if you look, they're attached to the chapter ring. And they basically are like diving boards hanging out over the dial. I love that. You have some printing on there, you have the sub-dials, and of course you have the Oceanus logo actually applied on top, and you can actually kind of see the shadow down below because there's like layers to this dial to capture the solar. But you have that really nice polished bezel all the way around with those numbers, and if I'm being honest with you, I'm not really sure what the number thing is all about. So if you guys know, let me know, but it has something to do with maybe something to do with the chronograph function and timing things, I'm guessing. I don't know. It's a perpetual calendar as well, because once you set it, you're done. And that's really easy to do in the Bluetooth app, which this one was already kind of set up from Marc. So I just quick changed the time zone, which it's not labeled on there, but I'll show you. It's actually pretty easy to figure out. Like you can tell what time it is, and then you adjust it forward or backwards, and you see the hands move. It's also a dual time, so you can quick set that as well. And then it has an AM, PM indicator down here. And you have your, I need to get my little pointer thing here. And you have your 24-hour clock up here, basically telling you if you're in 24 hours. So we're in PM here, and you can see down here, I have it set for the same time, and you can see it's pointing towards PM. And then you also have, it is Wednesday, the 9th. So as long as you can remember what month it is, you're good to go. So there's obviously some other features here. To do the quick set on the time, basically you pop this crown out one position, and you can see the seconds or chronograph hand jump over to here. And basically, I wonder if that's what this is for. This is like the GMT -4 or something, I guess. I don't know. But you can essentially, you can rotate this crown now, and you can adjust the second time zone. So if you go backwards one, then it'll go back an hour. So it's really that simple. You go back another one, it's going to go back an hour. Okay. So if you go to the second position, now you're going to mess with the main handset, the main time. So say you got you want to jump ahead an hour for whatever reason, you click at one spot. Oh, this one does half-hour increments too. That must be what this ring out here is for. And then it'll adjust. So you can, keep going, and it'll adjust to that time. Okay, it's super simple. And then it's just as easy to pop it back. So there. And now we're back to my home time. So then you push the crown in, and then it just goes right back to its keeping time all the while. Okay, now there's a couple other things you can do. Let me think if I can remember now. If you push this button down here, it's going to tell you N. It's going to point towards N for no, it did not receive a radio signal. You can force that, but this was down in the basement, so it didn't receive signal. If it would have been upstairs, it probably would have received it from out west. I don't think it does anything if you push this button up here. Let me think here. So if you push that button, now it's in the stopwatch. You've seen this sub-dial here is swung around and pointed towards ST, that's stopwatch. Chronograph hand goes to 0, and then you can recenter that too. There's a whole different procedure for that, and I'm not going to cover that in this. But so you hit start, and it starts counting. Super simple. You can hit stop, so you can do different timing of that, and then reset. And then you hit this little button over here again, and it'll go back to, well, so it pointed over there to H. That's also your battery indicator, low, medium, high. So if you hit it, it'll actually go over there, and if you hold it down, it'll actually give you your battery level. So it does everything. You don't need to actually set it up with the Bluetooth, but you can. And this thing has really good loom too. I'll show you that. So, all right, before I forget, when I sized this up, I noticed, what the heck, Casio? No micro adjust, and there's no half links. How the heck am I supposed to size this, right? So get this. Maybe, see, there's no real indicator inside either, but you push these down, and this slides. And the clasp is still thin, and it locks into position. I think there's 3 positions. It's hard to feel them because you don't feel it ratchet or anything, but it has 3 positions, and it stays put. Now, every time you take it on and off wrist and use those double pushers, it might flop out on you a little bit. So that's basically how I learned about it, honestly, because I popped it off and I went to go put it back on, and it was like, it was bigger on the wrist. I was like, wait a minute. And then I noticed that that end link was out further. So that's how I noticed it. So if I pop it on my 7 1/4 inch wrist, tell me that's not perfect. And keep in mind that's, you know, it always looks like it's a larger watch when it's on, you know, on camera, and when you take wrist shots and everything like that, you're like, that watch isn't that big. You always look back at it. I'm looking at it with my eyes. This thing is beautiful. It's perfect for my wrist, and that's why it meets that category that I have of, like, I have to own this. So, and it's crazy light. And I wore it at work, and I know Marc wore it a little bit. So, and there's no scratches on this. So this has got to have some sort of coating on it or super titanium or something that Casio does, because it doesn't scratch super easy either. I'm sure it will scratch. Don't get me wrong. It's not like scratch proof, but it is definitely scratch resistant. So if you were looking for a very good, fun, I don't want to say clean, because I like the fact that it actually has some polish and some bling and everything to it. That's what actually draws me into it. And it has that quick adjust, micro adjust system. I mean, that's super easy, right? Boom, done. And it's nice clasp system. I wouldn't change anything on this. Let me kill the lights. I'll show you the lume too. This thing is the perfect Casio Oceanus. And it's so affordable, like I said. And the lume looks great. It's a great looking lume, and it's long lasting. I have zero complaints with this watch. None. I think they're like 700 bucks. That's not that much higher than the $500 comfort zone that I used to have. This is a no-brainer. Let me know what you guys think.